What's up, everybody? Mar13 here. We already see the title of the video, so let's get right into this shit. Okay. Wrong place. Wrong thing. Damn it, Mar. Yeah, I'm just gonna close that. Alright, so things go similar in the canon to the main series at the start, so Vilgax, yada yada, shit like that. Now then, a couple hours before this, we see the 11-year-old Lincoln Loud, who's like just a couple of days away from summer break. Actually, no, a week. He's like a week away from summer break, and he's just looking at the clock for this Friday to finally end, since him and Clyde are planning to go somewhere. As Lincoln looks up and says, "Oh, I didn't see you here. Hey, Lincoln Loud. Me and my best friend Clyde are about to go see a meteor shower. It's gonna be awesome." And thus, things get out school gets out, as Lincoln and Clyde said they'll see each other when they see, as we see Lincoln go home. Now then, we meet all 10 of his lovely sisters, and, well, we skip a couple hours later, and also, Lincoln says, me and Clyde are been really waiting for this. Also, he's kind of been acting kind of weird lately, which immediately has Lincoln worried. Hell, since Lincoln sees that even Chloe can't really get to Clyde anymore, and also he's been wearing these black gloves for some reason. He looks kind of scared to take them off. Even Chloe can't get to him, and, well, he knows that Clyde likes her, so he just doesn't really know what. So him and Clyde, so I'm hoping that maybe going on this meteor shower will help lighten Clyde's mood up a bit. Lincoln tells us before he starts packing some stuff before telling everybody he's gone. As we see the two boys leave, Lincoln leaves and meets up with Clyde, who has bags under his eyes. Besides that, as him and Lincoln go, they find a good place like Dorn in the forest. And they just wait there, put up a telescope, and start to watch. Live stream as the meteor shower finally starts coming down. During this time, we see that the fight continues as a laser blast ends up hitting the ship as it sends the omnitrix down the pod. As Lincoln then see, hey, Clyde, does it look like that meteor is getting kind of close? Yeah, now that you mention it. As for whatever reason, the omnitrix, the meteor changes course and starts aiming bolting towards them. As Lincoln picks up their stuff and tells Clyde to run, as the pod ends up crashing down, sending the two flying back in pain slightly. Lincoln lets out a dull moan of pain as he opens up his eyes, dusting the dirt out of his white hair. As he says, as he goes to Clyde and helps pick him up, "You all right?" Yeah. Just weird, And during this time, we see that. Hold up. We see, as Lincoln says, "Oh, did a satellite fall down?" Lincoln thinks. As they get close to it, only to feel the ground rumble beneath them. As Lincoln falls in, after he gets up and looks at it, and he sees the pod opening. A watch? What's a watch doing in outer space? As Lincoln gets ready to reach his arm to grab it, only for it to pop up, jumping onto his arm, latching onto it. As Lincoln screams, get it off, scared since this is an 11-year-old, so As he flings around, tries to pull it off, even falling over from how hard he's pulling, even getting Clyde to do it, but nothing works. But during their fiddling and trying to pull it off, they end up pressing the button, which pops up that ends up popping up with a green glow. As a silhouette appears on it. Whoa. Clyde, as Lincoln in his own fear, does end up pushing it down the silhouette down. And thus it starts a transformation as Lincoln lets out a scream of fright as molten rock starts to build up on his arms before encasing him. The next thing Lincoln knows, after Lincoln looks at his hands for a minute, he screams he's on fire. I'm on fire, before Clyde tells him to stop, drop, and roll. But after a while, after a couple of seconds, we can realize, hey, I'm okay. As Lincoln says, I wonder. As he lights his hand up, fire spurting out before he ends up shooting at a tree. Oh, this is awesome. As Lincoln says, let me see my sisters top this. As Lincoln starts to do his victory dance, But in this Nazi, Lincoln realizes that the forest is caught on fire. Yeah. As Lincoln realizes, as Clyde screams at Lincoln that the forest is on fire, before Lincoln screams, he's got this. As Lisa told Lincoln that if you ever somehow find yourself in the forest fire, burn it with another fire. The fires will end up extinguishing each other. And so Lincoln does the one thing he knows he's good at doing in this form: start shooting flames. As his fire bursts off into the scene, blasting into the ground, and also the trees, lighting even more of it on fire. As he tells Clyde, "We gotta get out of here." As they start to go, running. Now then, we see as the fires calm down, we see Lincoln and Clyde sitting somewhere else on two logs. Oh man. How am I supposed to live like this? We have school on Monday. How am I supposed to go to school on Monday? Or read comics? Or go home? What do my parents think? What Ronnie think? Something like that. So Lincoln keeps spiraling. As he thinks, is he going to be a monster forever? Or an alien, he thinks. As no monsters he's heard of are able to shoot fire out of their heads. As Clyde tells Lincoln he just doesn't know and says that I'll be here for him though. Since Lincoln's his best friend, he'll be here for him though. And thus then, this is when they hear a ding, ding, ding. And after a red flash, Lincoln is back to normal. Whoa, I'm back? Weird, Lincoln thinks. Oh, I am never going to take my grace for granted ever again, Lincoln says. Now then, after a while of talking, this is when Lincoln sees that the watches turn green again. You think it must have some kind of time limit, Clyde? I mean, maybe. Who knows? Clyde says. This is when Lincoln starts to poke with it again before realizing that there's a button on it. Before he presses it, bringing it up once again. Oh. Although Lincoln does realize it's a dial, as he starts turning, Clyde sees this, before Lincoln says, Clyde, there are 10 super cool aliens in here. Who knows, maybe if I learn how to use this thing, I can become like a superhero, like Ace Savvy, Lincoln says. Before Lincoln ends up pressing, as Lincoln says, well, time for a test run. As Lincoln ends up slamming down the silhouette. As after it picks another silhouette, he slams down on the watch, transforming. As fur starts to pierce out of Lincoln's body before claws appearing. As Lincoln slams his head on the ground, cracking it. The next thing Clyde sees is a orange monster with the gray hourglass on its shoulder. Oh, Clyde says, cool. And thus we finally see Lincoln as Lincoln bends down, telling Clyde to jump on him, as things go similar with Ben and Gwen jumping around. And after this is when we span back into space. Master Vilgax, as we see a robot coming up to a pod with the mutilated Vilgax inside of it. It seems like the omnitrix has landed on Earth. A dirty backwater planet. I don't care what it takes. Get me my omnitrix. The terrifying alien screams out, with the robot replying with a yes sir, and then sitting down some probe drones. And thus, during this time, while we see Lincoln jumping on the trees, this is when he noticed something behind him and Clyde. As he jumps up, missing the laser, as he ends up jumping away and jumping until he can find Clyde a safe distance to put him down in before going back to fight the alien, the robot. As Lincoln jumps out of nowhere, clawing out the robot, destroying it very easily with his teeth before he ends up seeing another one, shooting lasers, but with one jump and a slash of his claws, he takes it down. And just as Lincoln lands and transforms back, Lincoln loud, "One stupid robot, zero," he says, only for them to realize as he hears a sound, a charge of a laser. As he realizes with slight fear on his face slightly that he's about to be shot. Only next thing he knows, as electricity, as he turns back to look as a robot's about to fire, electricity comes out of nowhere, shocking the robot, destroying it. When we see who shot the electricity walk out, it was Clyde. The gloves off and electricity surging through his hands. "You alright, Lincoln?" Clyde says in an unnerving voice as he realizes he just took down a robot. "Whoa, Clyde, that was awesome. Is that why you were having those gloves on?" And thus Clyde explains that somewhere during the second to last week of school, when he started first changing, Clyde realized that he was, while playing video games, Clyde drained of, it turned off all of a sudden. But Clyde realizing that the electricity went to his hands, he freaked out, obviously, and then ran to his dad's. And just with some absorbing battery. And thus, they gave him some gloves black gloves that installate his absorbing powers. "Clyde, why didn't you tell me?" Lincoln says, "Thought you would see me." "Our Chloe, one of us," he says. As Clyde says, "Thought she would see me as a freak." "Dude," Lincoln says as he places his arms on Clyde's shoulder, "You're basically like my brother. We've been friends since as long as we can remember. I would never see you as a freak." And Lincoln says. After Clyde sees this, he ends up giving Lincoln a hug, which Lincoln ends up reciprocating. And thus, during this time, as we see on as Lincoln's phone pops up as he's getting ready to leave, giant robot attacking the campers, what it said in canon. Clyde, it was one of those robots. They're there at a campsite. They're attacking people because of me. We need to get there. "So how are we going to take it down this time? You going to go for the fire one again?" Clyde says as him and Lincoln are running. As they get ready to stop when they see the giant robot, he says, "Nah." As he slams down, before crystals start to encase his arms, as two giant crystals shoot out of his back. And this, "Nah, I'm going to use this one." "What can he do?" Clyde asks. "I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty cool," Lincoln says, before he ends up rushing down there. As while the robot's destroying himself, it didn't hear his, "Hey, ugly, if you want to shoot at anything, shoot at me." As the robot complies and almost immediately turns around. When it locates the omnitrix, it raises its arm up and fire. As Lincoln gets smacked across the face, sent flying as he realized that was not the best choice of words. And so, okay, I gotta hurry up. I'm pretty sure someone's outside my house. And so, after realizing that wasn't really the best choice of words, the fight commences. Now then, Lincoln realizes that, again, thanks to Lisa and Lincoln being probably one of the most smart people in Royal Woods, since Lisa has said Lincoln is the second smartest in the house besides her, but during his fight, Lincoln does end up saving two girls that he knows goes to his school. Yeah. Shut up, Ruby. My dog, I'm sorry. Guys, you have to hear that. But yeah, Lincoln's just saving two girls that he knows to go to the school. And from what he knows, their names are Hannah and Kate. Hannah's slightly, she's a lot better off than most families, and Kate's rich. As Lincoln saves them, they say thank you. But yeah, eventually Lincoln ends up sending the robot to Kingdom Come as he sliced it in half with its own laser beam. As he says, "Yeah," cheering, saying, "Yeah, you rocks." As Clyde screams, "Hey, Diamond Head, don't you have somewhere else to be?" He thinks, Which says, oh, yeah, thanks, citizen, as he runs off. With Clyde doing the same too. The two eventually meeting up. Lincoln is already timed out. This was awesome, Lincoln says. I know, right? Clyde says. Clyde, isn't there an abandoned junkyard in the woods? Yeah, I think it's an abandoned one of that Summers company. Who knows? We might just have to play it, he says. I was actually wanting to play it anyway. So we go there tomorrow and we see what this watch can do. Alright? And also we see what you can do with your powers. I mean, hey, it's better to let you control them than being scared by them, right? Yeah, you're right, Clyde says. So the two boys walk off. And this is when we see Lincoln getting home. As we see Rita almost immediately come up, running and hugging her son. Oh, Lincoln, you're right. Nothing bad happened to you, did it? She's ass worried. No, Mom. Me and Clyde got out of there before anything got bad. As Lynn Jr. sends figures. And what was I supposed to do? Stay there and get blown up by a giant robot? Lincoln says, his other sister's agreeing with him. So Lynn apologizes, and with that, Lincoln ends up going up to his room and laying down. Oh, I hope this isn't a dream, he says, looking at the watch, as he lets himself slip into a deep sleep. And yeah. So yeah. As Lincoln lets himself sleep into a big sleep, that's where we end this episode off. And so, Monarch 13